It's a little slow. All right, cue the theme music, Kat. Oh, there's no theme music.
You need theme music.
Kat's she's always slacking. But, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, for your viewing and drinking pleasure, well, you don't get to drink him, but you can drink with him, Mr. A.G. Riddle, U.S. extraordinaire, North Carolinian. Are you a native North Carolinian?
Yeah.
I knew it. You see, we were talking backstage beforehand, and you were talking about Boiling Springs, and you were talking about all that stuff, and I was like, this guy's a legit North Carolinian, one of my favorite states. Can I suck up to A.G. Riddle anymore in the first 30 seconds of the show?
I don't think you can top that. I mean, that was really solid. I mean, it's fantastic. And the whole state of North Carolina, really. Like, anyone out there from North Carolina right now is like, yes, man, I mean, this is amazing.
And maybe I should check out this guy's books too.
Yeah. If you're from the same state, you're going to like that person's books. I mean, it's pretty automatic, you know?
So what I do here is I bounce back and forth between, us talking, and I should have said this before, but you'll see lots and lots of comments, possibly. I don't know. I guess you see them over on this side. But you'll see lots of comments, I think. I've only seen it on my end, but you've got a fellow author, Sam Nash, or that's Sam Nash, not the author. It's not Sam Nosh. Sam Nosh is the author. And Jonathan Hill saying hello. Hello, Annette and Kathy and Joe. And Kathy again, she said, hey, Mr. A.G. Riddle, I love it. She's from Memphis, Tennessee. And lots of people are excited to see you. In fact, fellow author, my good buddy Richard C. Hale, who I had on a couple months ago, he text messaged me like 2 days ago, and he goes, dude, how did you get A.G. Riddle on your show? It's like, I sent him a Facebook message.
It was blackmail, it's all about blackmail.
Yes. It's amazing what you can do with an iPhone these days and some Photoshop.
That's right. Yeah. The deep fakes, I mean, they really put the pressure on you.
Yes. So you said that I could call you Jerry. That's okay.
Just for the first hour.
Just for the first hour.
Good.
So I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret that maybe the rest of the world knows. I didn't know, because this is me meeting Jerry Riddle for the very first time. And hey, Joni, it's good to see you. I've never talked to this guy in my life. We've been on some messages, with some other authors, and we were supposed to hang out in St. Pete Beach last month, and I couldn't get down there. So this is the first time I've chatted with him, and he's already had me rolling backstage for a few minutes talking. And I got to say, guys, this person is a legitimately nice guy. I really like him already. And I'm super grateful to have you on the show. Welcome to Drinks with Dempsey, Jerry Riddle. Cheers. Where's the cheers on this thing? It's always backwards on this thing. And let me see that crest. I want to see
Harry Potter glass.
I like that. And let's see what's in it. I want to know if anybody has a guess to what's in it.
Do you want to guess first, or do you want to see?
Too late now. I guess.
As my wife will tell you, I'm not good at listening and following directions. It's just like not something I'm able to do. But
my wife says the same thing.
It's going around. I think it's COVID. It's the coronavirus.
The other night, so we have a 5-year-old daughter, and we're homeschooling her right now, but we'll probably send her back into school, and she's in kindergarten, so whatever. But it's she wears her uniform every day, just like she'll wear.
I think that's good.
Yeah, get her in the the groove. And so the other day she finished school. My mom was teaching her, and she finished, and Mom left, and she's like, can we go outside and play? And I said, yeah. And she said, can I try on the new outfit that Mommy got me? And I said, yeah. She got her this outfit. And so I said, sure, yeah, you can put it on. Because I looked at the text message from Mommy, and it said, before she left for work that day, change her into her uniform, and she can wear her other outfit later if she wants to. And I said, okay. So I let her, and then we went outside and we're throwing a Frisbee and playing, and she got home and I got dismantled because I followed the directions, but I wasn't supposed to follow the directions. I wasn't supposed to let her play in that outfit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I finally did what you said. I followed all the directions as you detailed them. She's like, but you didn't think for a second that I didn't want her playing in this? I was like, well, we weren't.
The disconnect is probably that you don't do the laundry in the house.
I do my own laundry, and every other time I try to do my kids' laundry.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I try to remember to split that, but usually she gets to it before.
There's often like common sense nuances that I often overlook and just don't think about. And then on reflection, I'm like, that does make a lot of sense what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it was a pretty nice sweater that she could have worn to church. I mean, the dress maybe, I don't know, the skirt rather. But no, I mean, she has like nicer things that she wears for stuff like that. So I was like, plus we weren't playing tackle football and we were throwing a Frisbee around. It's not like she was, laying out like Ernie Banks in the outfield, like diving for a fly ball or something. There was two sports references in one sentence there. But yeah, okay. I bit the bullet and I took the heat for that, but I still feel vindicated because I followed directions.
Yeah, things could have been a lot worse. I mean, honestly,
yes,
and have been around here. So yeah, you're doing all right.
Yes. So I've got some people. Kathleen said she loved the Atlantis gene.
Oh, thank you very much.
He didn't write that. So
I've heard of the book, but never read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we talk about your books, because I know that especially this year you've been probably pretty busy fielding a lot of questions from readers and other people alike. But I've got to let's talk a little bit about where you live and your great state of North Carolina and where you grew up. I want to know. I don't know if lots of other people have asked you this, but I love it because I personally love North Carolina. I think it's a really cool state. The western part's absolutely gorgeous with all the mountains, and then you roll down towards the coast, and it's cool over there too. But tell me about. I want to know, how cool was it? First and foremost, you're a real heel, so. When did you attend the University of North Carolina, and how much fun was that to be there?
Yeah. I mean, North Carolina, great state. I mean, born and raised, I grew up in a little town called Bowling Springs, which is sort of halfway between Asheville and Charlotte. A little one-stoplight town. We've got a college in Bowling Springs, Gardner-Webb University now. It's Gardner-Webb College when I was growing up, but. Yeah, it was a cool place to grow up. My grandfather owned a lumber mill, and so when I was a kid, ride my four-wheeler out there and just kind of, go wild. And we grew up just hunting and just doing everything you do in a little one-stoplight town in rural America. But went to college in '98, UNC, and it was awesome. I mean, UNC is a great college for somebody like me who. Sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but wasn't really sure. And, in 1998, the world was changing so much. I mean, the internet was just, and yeah, so went to college, graduated in '02, was a business major. And I just kind of hung around. Like, we live in Raleigh now. And, but yeah, it's great. I mean, we're 2 hours from the beach and 4 hours from the mountains. And, yeah.
That's the right order, I think, sometimes to have that. If you could get it 3 and 3, that's even better. But that's awesome. And I have to say, every time that I went to the campus at UNC, and I didn't attend there, but I went up there quite a bit in 2008. It's just a really cool college town, and it feels like, oh yeah, this is what a college should look like. And you got all the history around you. And all those old buildings and the cool traditions and everything. I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, there's a lot of things you can major in. You get to meet a lot of different people. I mean, being from a small town, I think, what I was really interested in doing is sort of figuring out what my real strengths were, what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, when I went to college, I thought I would, just go into business with my dad. My dad owned this an electric sign company that I grew up working in. I really enjoyed it. I mean, building signs was cool because you've got the design aspect, which is always a challenge, and then you've got the construction aspect in the plant. You're welding and painting and you're doing electrical work, and then install was cool. I mean, I was always scared of heights as a kid, so I knew I could never make it on the road crews. I mean, those guys were up there sometimes 100 feet in the air installing a pylon sign on the interstate, like I-40 or I-85, and I was like, man, you guys are crazy. But I love love that business. But I figured with the internet, really, it was transforming my dad's business, my grandfather's business, and I knew this was something I wanted to do. But but UNC was the right college for me for sure. I mean, all around. Yeah.
So you said you started in 98. How old are you?
I'm 40. Yeah.
You're just now 40.
Okay. I feel like I'm like 60 though, because I got a 4-year-old kid, and it's just taking it out of me.
You look 67-ish. No, you look great. And by the way, for my 67-year-olds that are watching, you look like you're in your 40s too. So don't be offended. This is what I try to tell people lately. Remember, you're 5 years younger than me. So, but when I was growing up and I looked at people who were in their 50s and 60s and early 70s, they really looked old. Like they looked, and probably for good reason, because they had been through like the Great Depression and a world war and Korea and Vietnam, and they'd had all sorts of crazy things happen, right, over the course of their lives. And they worked really hard, and they didn't know about nutrition and exercise and all that.
Or moisturizing.
And moisturizing, right. Whereas now I see, like my dad, for example, is 78. He looks amazing. Like he looks terrific. And I see other people who are, I saw somebody the other day in their 80s and I was like, I can't believe it. Like that's not what I grew up. My parents ran a nursing home. It was a family business. And so I was around very old people all the time as a child. And it was I'm seeing comments over here about people. Now I'm feeling old at 48.
Oh no.
Thanks a lot. Dr. Kelly said, I'd love to be 40 again. Yeah, we all would. Well, not Jacob Stout over here from Asheville. He's only 26. But but yeah, I saw a lot of, I spent a lot of my time as a child with the elderly, and I see people that same age now, and I'm just like, wow, we've really come a long way. Now, life expectancy hasn't really increased that much, but at least it's like, see, look, Annette says 40 was ages ago. I would love to go back. But again, like, I feel like we're starting to sort of figure out this, I don't know, this gene, like, I don't know if it's an Atlantis gene, but
that could get a little dicey, I think.
It could get dicey.
Do not go on any expeditions to Antarctica or any clinical trials in Indonesia.
No, I won't. Although I am finishing up a book. I can't spoil the location. I'm not gonna tell you. I'll tell you where it is because you're not gonna read it. But I'll I don't know. Maybe you will. Maybe A.G. Riddle decides to slum it one of these days.
A.G. Riddle is an avid reader, so you never know what I'm reading.
And in one sentence, he can actually refer to himself in the third and first person.
Correct. Well, yeah, it's sort of that pronoun confusion that I'm known for in my editor. My editor will tell you.
Oh, see, here's a good one. Here's a good one from Kat. When you're 70, you really feel weird because you feel 30 mentally, but you look in the mirror and you're not sure who the heck person.
That's good, because how you feel mentally is the most important way about how you feel, honestly. I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So when I heard you talk about when you went to college, in several things that you mentioned, like made my ears perk up a little bit because it was exactly how I was when I went to college. I started in beginning in fall of '95, and even though I was planning on like being an English teacher and focusing on literature and all that, I still wasn't sure, right? Like I wasn't sure if working in the school system was right for me. And then um, I had a professor. A lot of the fans who are watching know this, but I had a professor that told me my work was trite, and I was like, okay. And I switched my major later that day to psychology, and then I still ended up working in a school system for 12 years anyway as a guidance counselor. But it's funny how college tries to move you along quickly, in that 4-year little window. I actually took 5, and then 2 more after that for the master's. But it's funny how it's hard for guys and gals like us who are still not sure, right? Like we think we know what we want to do, but you said you sort of kind of found yourself there. And is there a story behind that about how you figured out what you really wanted to do? And when did it happen? Like, did it happen, years later or?
Well, I think my opinion is that we're all in sort of a new world in which we're all required to constantly reflect and figure out, what's our place in the world? What should we be doing? And we're all given a certain amount of, skills, and everyone has strengths, everyone has weaknesses. And it's sort of like, I think the most successful people are the ones who reflect and say, what am I really good at? What am I passionate at? And what does the world want? It's sort of like, where's the opportunity for me? And growing up, I mean, I loved working in my dad's business. There's so many things I loved about it. I loved the people. I loved the sort of process of designing something and then creating and seeing it in real life, and then seeing, whether we were doing, sign for a new restaurant or a sign for a church that was opening up or something, like a new mall that was opening. It was really cool. But you know, I really didn't know beyond that. What I knew that I wanted to be in a business where I created something and, got to see it have impact on people's lives. So some form of manufacturing, right? This was pre-internet. So there wasn't this thing called web-based software.
Right.
But, when I was growing up, me and my best friend, in my hometown, there was like 2,500 people. So my age, there was only like 8 of us. We had our little gang where we rode bicycles, and but one of the businesses we had, was cutting grass and then selling computers, because in a small town it gets pretty slow. So messing around with computers and playing video games, you fill some of the time. But in college, like after my sophomore year, we started a company just writing software. I mean, we've been doing it off and on, but the colleges, like we got a lot of contracts at UNC and some at NC State, and we, made money doing that. And so I thought, this could be something I could do instead of, going home and just going into business with my dad. And so, I mean, that's what we did. For 10 years, we started out just contract software development, and then we saved our money up from that. And then we started our own businesses of, our own ideas or ideas that sort of came in. And we did startups, and we did okay at it, but it's like what I really enjoyed was writing the software and doing the work. Like I didn't like running the business, and all that wasn't really that interesting to me. And I also didn't think I was great at it. Like I was like okay at it, but not that great. Like once I reflected on it, I was like, I've been fairly successful, but there's got to be something else where I can really just focus on the creative process, and something that I like more and really enjoy. And science fiction is, what was my real passion. Like I would come home from work and read science fiction, and that's what, is sort of what I look forward to every day. And that's when I started writing. It's like that was 2010. And yeah, that's, so I think, it's like that was every 10 years I was kind of reflecting on, well, what am I good at? What are the market opportunities? What does the world want? But I mean, that was kind of like a haphazard way to go about it. But And it worked out. Like I remember I was dating my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. I was like, I'm gonna, like, once this business sells, I'm not gonna do another one. I'm gonna write this novel. It's just like, she didn't say anything negative, but you could see the skepticism. It was like, well, I think that would be a really good creative outlet for you. And it's like this sort of words that were being said were not clearly indicative of imminent success. And it was, for me, it was something where I went about it the way we went about startups, which was, this might not work. Like, we're going to create a prototype here. We are going to internally analyze whether we think it is any good. Like, it might be appealing to us, but the market size for this might be 150 people in America. And the cost of reaching those 150 people does not justify spending the marketing money and time, nor running a business, right? And so it's like, things are a little different on the book side, but that's how I went about it. Was sort of the mindset of a startup, in a sense of, I'll write this first novel and see what happens.
That is so funny, and there's so many parallels between the two of us. It's really interesting because, oh, hey, Michelle, the last guest that was on the show a couple of weeks ago, but she was here live on my back porch. It was amazing.
Oh, nice.
It was great. Yeah. Yeah, but there's so many interesting little parallels. Like you talked about how you had this fear of heights too, which I definitely still have. Like, I'm okay on planes and I'm okay in certain scenarios, but most of the time, like, I'll never get to visit Machu Picchu. There's no way. And I write in the genre that should go there, right? Like, I should visit that place. Never going to happen, because I'm just terrified of, like, those sheer drop-offs. And I've had friends that went and took pictures for me, and they're like, it is this terrifying. Like it's really that bad. And then there's other little things too that you said. Like, you said you kind of started in 2010, and I started writing my first one in 2008, but I didn't really finish it until 2010 and published it for the first time. And but I looked at it the same way as you, and I had been reading a lot of the startup guys. I was reading a lot of Tim Ferriss and following Pat Flynn and all these other guys, and I looked at it kind of the same way as you. Is like, let's test it out and see what this sort of prototype does. And the story that all my fans know about is that was this teacher I worked with. She was an English teacher, and she said, she asked me when I was gonna. It was like late 2010. She said, "When are you going to write the sequel?" And I said, "Well, Carol, I don't think I'm going to. I think I sold like 50 copies of that first one, and it cost me a couple grand to do it." And I said it was a good test, and most of those 50 copies were to friends or coworkers or whatever, and it's poorly edited, and you're trying to bootstrap all that stuff, right? And as an educator, I didn't have any money, so it was really difficult to try to get it all done right. And this little old lady grabbed me by the shirt, and she said, "You have to write the sequel. I need to know what happens." And she said, "I read the first one 3 times." And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, so maybe there's other people out there like her that will also enjoy this kind of stuff. And so I started doing it in my spare time. Did you write in your spare time initially? Like, you were working a job or you were running your company and you sort of did it at nights or early mornings, or what did that look like?
Well, for me, it was a little different. I mean, I had sort of a demarcation point where we sold the last company. I was like, I'm getting off the ride at this point. I mean, I've been thinking about writing for a while at that point, or I've been thinking about what I wanted to do next, and writing was sort of the best idea I had, right? And and it was sort of the kind of thing where I needed to decompress. I really felt like I needed something, something that I could work on every day, but I could go at my own pace, and there was no pressure, and was just like total decompression.
Does it still feel like that?
No, it does not. It feels like the thing was before. It's like,
Hey,
Um,
exactly. I know
yeah,
exactly
I
what
mean,
you're
no,
talking about.
it's still really good, but
Yeah.
it's a lot different than it was in the beginning. But
Hmm.
and thankful for it, all the success and all that. But yeah, it's different for sure.
Um, Paige says, "I
Thank you.
raise you."
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it's oh, hi Juliet in Melbourne. It's good. It's good morning down there in Australia. Hi Paige. Um, it's cool to hear that, and oh, see you later, Kathy. I think she already left, but it's interesting to hear the 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 life path that you took to get to what you're doing, and it's what I think is so cool is that when I talked to you, the second that you got on the call here, like backstage, and you said one word, I was like, oh yeah, he's a Southerner like me. Like I was, yes, okay. Because guys, really, I'm just now getting to know Jerry, like right before your eyes, and so you're getting to know him with me. And I didn't know, I didn't try to find a bio on him because I don't like to do that. I like to get to know people face to face. And so, yes, I've read some of his work, but I have not like scanned through and like tried to. I just knew you were from Raleigh. That's all I knew. I didn't know if that was where you grew up or. But the first second you said something, I was like, oh yeah, he's a Southerner like me. Okay, cool. So this is going to be a very laid back, long conversation, sipping sweet tea, and apparently Macallan 12-year. Have you had 18-year?
I have, yeah.
I'm not a big Scotch guy, but that's some pretty smooth stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if the books were selling better, I could be drinking 18-year. The market's really tough right now.
Yeah, you got to write another book, and that brings us to our first super fan. What?
Great segue. I mean,
It's a super segue. That brings us to the first question that super fan and super author Sam Nosh asked. She wanted to know what you're working on next. Can we ask you that?
absolutely. Yeah, working on a new book and made a lot of progress on it, but I think maybe it will be out next summer. I've gone back and forth about what to write, and I've worked on a few series, and the series just take a while for me anyway to feel like the characters are right, and to get the story world set up. And I think the next thing that comes out will be a standalone. But I don't have anything more to say about it because I want to be a little more certain about what it's going to be.
That's okay. That's all right. Look, as long as you're working, man, the people want your stories.
Yeah.
Like the people want your stories, and they want them yesterday. So that's how it goes. But yes, Sam said that he's a lovely chap. Look at this.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
He is. He is a lovely chap. And so what this year has been crazy, and one of the reasons I started doing this show, and I do a little coffee show on Sunday mornings, but the biggest reason I wanted to do this show is to sort of stay in touch with the readers and make sure everybody was okay and everybody's staying cool and whatever. And but so I don't typically talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on, especially with like COVID. So let's dive right into politics. No, but no, but I got to imagine it's been a little crazy this year, seeing things unfold and seeing some of the stuff that you've written about. And what's that been like as far as, like, are people asking you for lottery numbers or, like,
Yeah, and after the show, I'll give you the lottery numbers, FYI. But
getting a pen.
it's been crazy. I mean, the first series, like Atlantis, was about human origins, and sort of like the book I had really always wanted to write and was thinking about. I mean, it had everything in it from Ancient Aliens to conspiracies to post-apocalyptic. And then I did Pandemic. Pandemic is something that, global outbreak is something I've been really concerned about for a long time. I've felt that the biological threat to the human race is wildly underappreciated.
Absolutely.
And so I wrote the book out of my personal interest and fear to some extent, and also, I mean, in college, my aunt worked at UNC hospitals in clinical trials, so she got me a job there. I was building databases for clinical trials, and got to work sort of in that setting. And I've always had kind of a public health interest, and so the books sort of rise out of my own sort of research interests and the stuff that I get kind of geeked out about. But so anyway, I wrote Pandemic about this global pandemic. It sort of raised awareness, my own sort of self-interest, things I'm interested in. And I sort of hope that people come away from the book with some sort of appreciation of, what the risk is and what you might do in a pandemic. And then my next book was about a global ice age. And I told my wife, I was like, if an ice age happens after this, I mean, I'm just 2 for 2, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just stop writing right there. But so crazy because the book is about a different kind of pathogen, but it's sort of like life imitates art, in this instance, and not particularly happy about it, but
right, yeah. So it's interesting again, and I'm not trying to be like, see, I'm exactly like A.G. Riddle, people. You see? No, but okay, so the first trilogy that I wrote deals with a madman who's trying to unleash this holy pandemic, basically, to cleanse the world, right? And of the sinners, right? And to sort of start over again. And like you, I wasn't worried about EMPs. I wasn't worried about, Red Dawn, like the Russians invading. I mean, in the 80s, I guess we all were kind of like, oh no, but I'm not worried about that sort of invasion. Maybe computer hackers messing with stuff. But my big thing was always the movie that made a really big impression on me. I can't remember, maybe late 90s, was 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis. And yeah, and when they, when you get a little weird, like time travel element in there, spoiler, if but the thing that really hit me was like when that whack job went through airport security and they're like, what's in these vials? And he's like, opens it up, and it's like, there's nothing in there. And they're just like, okay. And right there was like patient zero, basically. And it just exploded. And that movie sat with me. It was definitely a kind of a strange flick, but the concept really sat with me. And I was like, why couldn't that be like a legitimate problem? And then there was like the movie Outbreak with Hoffman and that crew, and
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, Spacey, all them, like it was really all that stuff it sat in the back of my mind for a long time. And I was like, that would make a really good plot for a book if it was like a sick person doing it on purpose. And then what you just said a second ago about like the second ice age. I've been thinking a lot about that too, Jerry. I have, and I'm glad I'm glad that you've done it and you've taken care of it, because then I don't have to write it, because I don't have the time. First of all, Jerry, look, my schedule.
And these ideas don't sell. The stuff I'm writing, don't worry about it. I mean, it's not worth the money.
No, but I've got a whole docket full of stuff I'm going to do. So it's I just don't have the time. But I talked to somebody about this last year. They wanted me to do some project with this like big collaborative effort, and they were like, is there something that you have that would fit in with this? And I was like, yeah, second ice age is something that I think could very, very well happen, because whether you believe, that climate change is human driven or is a natural thing, or like I think it's probably both. Like I talk about, it's been getting warmer since all the continental glaciers melted, right? And it's been accelerated over time. But sooner or later, this planet we live on that is mostly liquid on the surface and underneath where it's all molten, it's constantly moving and changing. And what's the tipping point, right? Where something like that, another ice age could happen. And what would cause it? Would it be some sort of shifting of the poles? Would it be massive tectonic movement? I don't know. But look, it's happened before. We see the evidence for it, in the records of, in the crust of the earth and in the fossil records and all that other stuff. So it certainly could happen again. And what would it look like to civilization for something like that to happen? I'm super curious. Give me the answers, Jerry Riddle.
I need you to read my latest book, Winter World. I'm just kidding. I mean, Winter World for me, like the climate change thing, there's some spoilers in here, but Winter World is about a planet that's cooling, and they're not really sure why, because they didn't expect it, and they go out into space and figure out there's something out there in space that's affecting the Earth's climate. But I think that to me, in my mind, it's sort of there are almost 8 billion of us on Earth, 7.3 billion or something, and it's like our biological risk is very high because there's so many of us and we travel so much.
Yeah.
But also we're at the mercy of our environment. It's like, this is what happened to the, oh, wow. Thank you very much, Carrie. Appreciate that.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, we're at the mercy of our environment, and there's not a ton we can do either way, So I think that as a society, that's something we should, I think about. It's worth thinking about what would happen if the temperature went up, 5 degrees Celsius around the world. I mean, we would be in a huge world of hurt.
Fortunately,
down 5 degrees Celsius, right? So,
but here in America, we'd be safe because we wouldn't know what that would mean in Celsius. We'd be like, so what? It went up 5 degrees. Who cares, right? I mean, it's sort of like, pour me another Macallan 18, cat. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you can just disregard Celsius if you're in the United States. So I think it's not going to affect you. Also, yeah, but anyway, but that's the stuff that interests me, is like these sort of big major threats to humanity and the big ideas, But
I get complaints every now and then, not very often, because everything I do is great, but it's every now and then I'll get a reader that says, hey, I love your work, but you don't have to do like threat to the entire planet every time, and like you could just do like a cool treasure hunt. And I'm like, I'm gonna get back to that. It's all building up, right? There's just one big thing after another. It's building up. There'll be a huge drop off in book 21 where it's just a bunch of people with metal detectors, and they find like a coin on the beach, and that'll be it.
It's going to be called Goonies 2. Yeah,
Goonies 2. God,
that's such a good movie.
I mean, the only way they could do a sequel, right, is with the kids of the kids, right?
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Well, now
it'll probably get done now that you've said it.
Well, I know that Hollywood is always watching this show, and they're, all 13,000 people that I see that are here watching it. Several of them are from Universal, and there's a couple of others on there from Amazon Prime watching.
Your youth, culturally.
What'd you say?
That culturally strip mining your youth is how they make their money. I mean, it's remakes, but I think that, my wife said to me the other day, I was like, I told her about what I was working on. It was a few months ago, and she's like, in the environment we're in, why don't you write something a little more uplifting or something a little happier, where less people die and there's less apocalypse? And I'm just like, what? Yeah, this is the thing that I'm interested in. Like, I have to be interested in the stuff that I'm working on. And for whatever reason, I don't know if I have like some sort of darkness inside of me, but I need like Like I never get the question about why don't you go smaller, because all of my stuff is just the scale is just. There's never not been an apocalypse. I don't know, and I think that's something that I should probably seek professional help for. It's like why does the world end in every one of your books?
Do you sleep okay at night, or does this stuff keep you up?
Well, I have a 4-year-old, and there's COVID. And
that's right. I have a 5-year-old.
I don't really sleep well.
Hey, no. So when did you? What? Personal question. When did you guys finally? Are you done with diapers now? Not you personally, but like.
Yeah, me personally, I'm not. My daughter is, who's 4. She does not wear diapers anymore. She's been out of diapers for a while, actually. But I think, like to have the problems around the house. So we have a 6-month-old puppy who, I do take out every morning at like 6 a.m. and
Oh, that's another kid.
It is.
I mean, my kid today, we were out at some shop and they had their dog in there, and we walked out and she said, "I want a dog," and I was like, "Not gonna happen." That's like another kid. I love them. I do love dogs. I love them, but I don't want one.
I felt we like my wife went and got the dog, but it's like we have benefited a little from it because of COVID, and it's just like,
oh yeah,
our daughter has really enjoyed having the puppy around because she doesn't have any other siblings. And
I hate you. You're guilting me into it now, Jerry.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I think deep down in the recesses of your mind, you want that puppy. And now that I'm saying it, you don't know me,
Jerry Riddle. That's all for today's show, guys. AGRiddle.com. AGRiddle.com. I'm ending the broadcast. Go read his stupid books. Kat, next time get a better guest on here that's not going to make me feel horrible about myself as a parent and a person. By the way, I got to ask.
Puppy can help you. Just think about it.
By the way, this is what Sam Nosh had to say. She has a lovely accent too. And this is what Kat had to say. She loves
thank you.
The imagination. Does your wife appreciate how truly funny you are? I mean, it is some of the
she's pretty funny too, but yeah, I mean, not every joke lands. I mean, some are pretty wide, right? And my humor has veered into dad joke territory, and some of the stuff is getting pretty bad. Like it's just like
okay. Now, as a dad, let's just hold on. Let's pump the brakes on that for a second. Is it getting into dad joke territory, or are people typecasting us because we're dads? Because I've had a few people say, "Oh, that's a good dad joke," and I'm like, "What? Because I'm a dad?"
Yeah, are you dad shaming me? I don't know. Is that even a thing?
You just made it a thing.
Yeah, no, I invented that. That's fresh. That's probably the best work I've done today. I have to go back and look at my draft, but yeah, I don't know. It could be.
So when you're drafting a story, all right, and you're motoring through it. Do you do a daily word count? Do you try to shoot for a goal, or do you just say, I'm just going to sit down and roll with it? This is a process question. This is the cliche thing, but I'm always interested because every one of us does it differently, except James Rollins. He copies my process exactly.
James Rollins, he does copy. Hang on for just 1 second. This is my daughter.
Yes. So right now, what we're doing is we're sitting here. We're having a drink, and now he's really one-upping me. Hi, what's your name?
Her name's Emerson. She's a little shy.
Oh, I love that name. Well, Emerson, my little girl is a little shy. I should get Arden on the show, and they could say hi to each other.
Say hi?
My daughter's downstairs, though. You want me to call her and get her up? That would be fun. You'd be like dads with, like authors with daughters. Oh, she is a cute.
New podcast.
Now I kind of want. Now I'm jealous. I want to copy A.G. Riddle so much. Hold on. Let me see if I can get my wife to bring her up. Hold on.
To answer your question, I don't have a daily word count. I tend to work until as long as I'm getting good stuff, I'll keep going. And then when I'm not, I tend to do something else, answer email or this and that. Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
How many
Emerson,
words a day do you get, Emerson?
Emerson, what's your favorite food?
What's your favorite food? She said popcorn is her favorite food.
Popcorn? Oh, come here, buddy. I want you to say hi to somebody. This is my friend Jerry, and this is his little girl, Emerson. This is Arden. Can you say hi?
You say hi? Hey, look. She's very shy. Hi, can you say hi?
We know what that's like.
Yeah, right.
Say hi.
Hi.
She goes, mm-mm. She's being shy too. Okay, what's your favorite food?
Apples.
Apples?
Mm-hmm.
It's not chocolate?
Book.
Okay.
Well, sweets are.
Sweets are?
Unicorns.
What did she say?
Her favorite books are about unicorns.
Her favorite books are about unicorns.
Mm-hmm.
You like unicorns too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps someday Emerson will hear about the incredible Mr. Popplebee's.
That sounds interesting.
It's a unicorn story I'm working on. Don't you dare steal it, Jerry.
Oh my gosh. Just trademarked it. Also registered the domain.
Too.
Arden said she likes it too. What did Emerson say?
I want to hear it too.
Oh, okay. You want to hear it too?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
This is like one of my novels. It's like, this is what you think is going to happen. And then just like something totally random happens. It just flips the script. And
Those are the best, though. That's what people want, predict.
Emerson?
Oh, she said Emerson.
Say hi, Emerson. You say hi? Yeah.
We go on the field trip. My partner is Adeline.
Oh, she went on the field trip and her partner was Adeline.
Adeline. Okay.
Well, that's really cool. You go on the field trip today?
Yes.
Where did you go on the field trip? Where did you go?
Back of the playground, and then we walked, and then someone got hurt.
Uh-oh.
Somebody got hurt. Well, you got to be careful on a field trip. As authors, we don't go on too many field trips. We're mostly home based.
Yes.
Which is safer for us.
And there's words on them, and I won, and Adeline stepped on a puddle.
Oh my goodness. Well, luckily, Ernie and I don't get outside much, so that's much safer. All right, I'll let you go play. We're going to talk about books and stuff.
So,
dropping by.
Yes, at some point we'll make that happen. Arden said, "Can she come to my house?"
Of course. Well, I mean, it's your house. You guys can come to our house.
You can always invite yourself here. What did you want to tell Emerson?
Mine likes unicorns.
Oh, she said she likes unicorns.
Oh, great. Well.
All right, buddy.
Plenty of unicorns when you guys come to visit in Raleigh.
I want to come to my house.
Okay. Well, she lives about 6 hours away, so
it's not right down the street, but
All right, I'm going to finish this show and then I'll come downstairs and play. Okay? Can you close that door for me? Thank you, dude. I don't know about you, but like for a long time, I was like, I think I want a boy. If I have a kid, I want a boy. I love having a little girl.
No, me too. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, it's worked out. I mean,
talk to me in 10 years, Jerry. You and I will be like knee deep in 3 bottles of Macallan 18. Jerry, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm hanging on for dear life, but enjoying it.
You've never felt so clueless in your entire life as you are when you're a parent. Like you feel like you are you're making up the story as you go along, just like our jobs, Yeah. So, but let's
do a lot of research, just like the books.
Yes. You know what? I read a study though. If you're the kind of parent who reads books about parenting, you're already a good parent.
Oh, is that right? That's all you have to do is read the books. Wow.
Well, because it means that you're constantly trying to improve and get things right and do better and all that. And so Allison said we need to write a unicorn novel. No, I am not. Okay, maybe I'll share Mr. Popplebee's with Jerry Riddle. Maybe we could write it together because we both have daughters. It would be a fun challenge.
Yeah.
So real quick, the story of the incredible Mr. Popplebee's is that my daughter occasionally, sometimes playtime isn't enough, or it gets kind of boring with no other kids around. And yes, no boys are going to date our daughters. That's true. Not till they're 56.
That's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, I mean, can they outrun buckshot? I mean,
Well, yeah. Ernie, we heard you and Jerry Riddle bought a compound up in Idaho. Is that right? You worried about the pandemic? No, just, teenage daughters. It's where we're moving when they turn, 14, 15 years old.
that's correct.
Go off the grid. No, but yeah, so she has this thing for unicorns, and one night she was kind of sad. I think maybe mommy was like on a, I don't know, a girls' night or something. So I was putting her to bed and she wanted mama. And so she said, would you tell me a story, Daddy? And I was like, man, if only I knew how to tell stories. But sorry, you're out of luck, kid. No clue. And she said, but don't you write books? And I was like, you got me there, kid. So I said, let me tell you a story about the incredible Mr. Popplebee's, the most fantastic unicorn that's ever lived. And she said, is he real? And I said, in my mind, he is. And so I made it up on the spot, this little bedtime story about the incredible Mr. Popplebee's. And now, whenever I see a unicorn toy or whatever, I'll say, hey, wait a second, is that? And she's like, no, it's not Mr. Popplebee's. Mr. Popplebee's is white with like a pink and purple head. And I'm like, it's a good memory, kid. It's a really good memory. That's going to come back and haunt me in the end, I think. It's that really, really smart memory. But before our kids came in, though, we were talking about, I think one of your stories, but I'm trying to remember what we were talking about because the kids distracted me.
Yeah, my memory's not what it used to be. Something about like an ice age and how
oh yeah,
our entire climate. Yeah.
We talked about Winter World. So let's talk about your books. So if people want to check out your books, because we're coming up on an hour, it's gone by quick. At least for me. For you, it's probably felt like 40 years. But where can people find your books? I mentioned it earlier, but I want you to say it. I want you to say it.
Well, yeah, Amazon or agriddle.com, the website. Yeah, everything's there.
And that was really concise, Jerry. I was expecting like a 5-minute talk about like, and I'll be doing a TED talk here and the next couple of virtual, of course. No, that was it. Just
I'm trying to self-edit my stuff down to be shorter.
So you said that. Do you self-edit? That's another question.
I do. I mean, so I write first draft, second draft, and then I self-edit that and send it to the editor, and then find out all the problems it has on it, and then I go into a sort of multi-month process of agony of editing out this problem.
That sounds terrible. You need to just
very painful.
You just need to do what I do, and just hit the last period on the last sentence, and then seconds later hit publish.
Perfect. Yeah.
And all the bad reviews be damned, whatever.
It's a good What could go wrong?
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? Well, let me tell you about the first time I published. So you do a first draft, and then you said you do a second draft. What does that mean? Do you go back through the first one, like you read through it and change it, or do you just completely write a whole new thing? What does that look like? It sounds terrible. I mean, it's very excruciating.
Yeah, it's painful. Probably inefficient. Likely not the way to do it. So let me tell you more about that. Plotter or pantser is a great question, and the answer is both. So I write an outline. Unfortunately, I write the outline, I do my research, and then at some point in the writing of the book, things start deviating from the outline. Like I get to know the characters better and I have better ideas than I had when I wrote the outline. And instead of being true to my outline, I'll go for what I think are the better ideas. And so inevitably what happens is the stuff that was written, let's say in the first half of the book, is not really consistent with the second half of the book because things have changed. So in the second draft, I don't know if you call it a second draft or just an edit or what, but so I go back through and I'm like, hey, this is, continuity problem here, or this character sort of evolved in my own mind. So this dialogue feels, a little out of place. This whole plot thread feels anachronistic with what I think is going to be the finished novel. And so you cut things and I think, that's my creative process, right? Because I think it does make for a better novel. For techno thrillers, like I don't think that is the process that works for every genre or every author, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's my process, and then I do a self edit, which is more about the words and all that. Like the second draft is really about, is this story really consistent? Does it work?
Okay. Interesting. I've never read any of my own stories, so I haven't. That's the funny. Yeah, it would drive me crazy. Like I would never publish anything if I read my own work because I would never think it was good enough. I'm too insecure. And then
editing is my kryptonite. I do it. I think it makes the stories better, but I don't. I don't enjoy it. But that's life, and that's what a job to me is about. You do some stuff you enjoy, but then you do the stuff that you do not enjoy, so that you can keep having a job.
Well, I know when I send I write a draft and that's it, and I send it off to my first editor, and he'll send it back, and there's usually lots and lots of things that I have to fix, and sometimes the things are pretty big fixes, like not entire chapter rewrites, but lots of paragraph moving or changing paragraphs, or there's big chunks that I have to cut out and leave it without that section in the story because it doesn't fit. But I read so slowly. That's one of my biggest issues. Is I
also read pretty slow.
Yeah. So that would be really a big hindrance for me. But I like the fact that we can kind of all do it the way we do it, and it works. Whatever works for us. That's one of the things I love about this gig is that I don't have somebody telling me I'm doing it wrong. You get a bad review every once in a while, but like I don't pay attention to those. Like what I pay attention to is feedback from the people over here in the comment columns, and I want to know what they think and if they really enjoyed the story, what they liked and didn't like, and that's who matters to me. Is did I give them entertainment that they wanted and in the way they expected it? And so as long as your process is delivering that, then then it works. And everybody's is different. James Rollins put it best. He kind of does it a little bit like the both of us do it, where he creates an outline and it sort of is like a fence around the story, but you can play in a lot of okay, my daughter's back, but you can play in a lot of places around that, in that yard, right? That fence is big and it wraps around a really big backyard, and there's a lot of places you can play there. And it sounds kind of like you do sort of the same thing, you just go where the good ideas take you, like you said. So, oh, look at this. We got another author on the call, Steve Moore from Mexico with an English accent.
Thank you.
We are definitely legends in our daughters' minds. So,
in our own minds.
And one's making hand gestures back here behind me. So, I definitely do want to at some point. Okay, buddy. All right, she's not here anymore. I'll be downstairs in a second, okay? Well, she's not on the screen anymore. She went back to play with her toys or whatever. Hey, I'm about to end the show here in a second. I'll be downstairs in a minute. All right, go back down with Mama. Okay, okay. I'll be back down in a sec. All right. Hey, can you close that for me?
I'm glad that I caused you to have the most chaotic episode of your career here.
Dude,
I'm good for.
I love it. I love it when she comes in and hops on, and I always want her to feel welcome. So It's part of the being a dad of a 4 and 5 year old.
That's right.
It's all good. And Steven said we're legends in his mind. You do realize you can listen to your books on audio. Yeah. I will say this. Okay, so
For a small price.
and we're gonna wrap it up here soon. But I will say this: the times that I have heard John Perhala do, he's my narrator. He's in North Carolina. He's in he's really close to you. Dadgummit, I cannot remember the town now, and he's not watching the show. I'll ask him and then I'll text you later. But he whenever I hear him doing the story, I'm like, did I write that sentence? That was pretty good. Like, okay. Yeah, that was all right. You pat yourself on the back. Like, oh, okay. When you hear somebody else do it. But yeah, that's all right. So listen, man, I won't keep any longer. It's been really nice just chatting with you. And
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish we could have hung out in St. Pete Beach and with the rest of those rascals.
Next year.
Yeah, we'll do it next year, and there'll probably be a lot more people there, and you'll get to see all the mayhem that that conference really is. It's pretty awesome. Oh, Michelle, look at Michelle. He's in Brevard. Thank you, Brevard. Yeah, Brevard. You know where that is.
I know where that is.
I used to drive through there quite a bit. So, yeah, great. Now you and my narrator are going to be best pals. I'm stuck with nobody.
I just hired him for my next book.
Did you?
No, I'm just kidding. It's done through recorded books, so the audiobook published. I don't have a lot of say in it. Right?
I hate you.
I know.
You always get me with your jokes, and we've only been talking for an hour. Well, listen, guys, thank you all for joining us tonight, and definitely be sure to check. If you have not checked out A.G. Riddle's books, you need to do it because they're a hot ticket, and they have been for some time. He's an exceptional writer. He knows how to spin a really good tale. He's inventive with the way that he tells those stories.
I'm blushing.
And I'm giving you your blurb, so I hope that you're writing all this down. Like you can just you didn't ask for it, but it's worth about 2 cents a blurb from me. So, but no, I mean this exceptional storyteller, and as you've seen, just a genuinely nice person. And whenever you get a chance to support really good folks who are also great at their craft, I always recommend that. And so be sure to check out agriddle.com or find him on Amazon. And if you don't do Amazon, shoot him a message and maybe he'll help you out. I'm not speaking for you, Jerry, but
live on this, shoot me a message. And we'll
but most of the people that I associate with are cool like that, and I'm always happy to help out people who use Nook or Kobo and those other things. I don't have a lot of those readers, but I'm always happy to help them out. So I'm not speaking for A.G. Riddle, guys, but if you don't help them out, Jerry, I'm going to look like an idiot.
Well, keep in mind, it will all be your fault, too.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, listen, man, have a great weekend. Go play with that little girl of yours. Have some dinner, and that's it, man. Thank you, Jerry Riddle, for joining us. Thank you, everybody else. And Jerry, I'll see you backstage in a second.
Awesome. See you.